Now, let's have a question from one of our Patreon backers in But Your Emails. Remember, we put a call out for questions on our Patreon page every week, so don't forget to back us for a chance to have yours answered. This week, Nick Simmons asks, why do people that pay for political podcasts and political journalists keep demanding more detail from Starmer and Labour? We're 15 months away from a general election, and any policy details given now will either be stolen by the Tories, see childcare, or used by the Tory press to say your taxes will go up, or Labour are weak/dangerous on XYZ, see immigration. The general public don't pay attention to politics until the election is called, and that is why Labour are low on detail now. Rachel, do you agree with that? Do you think that there is a reason they should just go, we are all really engaged in politics, people who listen to this are really engaged in politics, but maybe actually there is a huge amount of people that just are not engaged at the moment?
I'm going to sound very 2010 here. I agree with Nick.
Yeah.
I think Nick Simmons, who emailed in, is absolutely right and spot on. It makes sense for Labour to stay as vague as possible for exactly those reasons. If you come up with a bold new policy that will solve things like childcare, the Conservatives have time to steal it. And if it's something that's remotely controversial, anything to do with the NHS, anything to do with taxes, anything to do with the climate, you'll kind of get hammered for it. The reason that we as political journalists want to know is they are probably going to be running the country, and it would be quite good to be able to have a sense of what are they going to do, what are the pros, what are the cons, can we analyse this a little bit? We don't really know what Keir Starmer stands for. He's going to be the most important person in this country. We deserve to know what's going to happen. That's why we want to know. And Labour's going, yeah, but we're not going to tell you. And we're at a stalemate.
Yeah, Podrick, would it be helpful, though, if Labour kind of at least suggested some more vibe, which is what I feel at the moment? I understand not going into exact detail, but there's little stuff like, for example, them saying that they will continue to use the barges, rather than say, obviously, when we come into power, we can't miraculously unpick everything in one day, but we will stop using them eventually. They seem to kind of be playing to reality to such a ludicrous extent that it's kind of like, we get it that we don't live in a magic wonderland, but there just feels to be no positive outlook there at the moment to me.
I think we are right now. There is a feeling abroad that we're lacking the vision thing. I think that's absolutely right. There is certainly a sense, in the Labour Party that I think I can't remember who was it used the Ming Vaz campaign basically is what's happening. So you have this majority, you just hold on to it for dear life. But there's a sense, I think, as well, that we're grasping around a bit, because I was speaking to someone who would be described in a Sunday Times piece as a veteran campaigner recently, and we're talking about the difference between the Biden campaign, which was big on vision, big on we're going to do all these amazing things, and is delivering by and large on the vision thing. And the difference between Biden, he said, was because Biden was able to do the very safe hands thing in the elections. Just, we have to beat Trump. That's all we're here for. That's all we can do. Because he had a track record. He had a track record out there. People could say, he's done this in the past. He's been around a long time. This is probably where we're headed. Here are the people around him. This is probably what they're going to do.
He's the world's oldest man.
He's the world's oldest man. We can look at the entire breadth of history. He was there, with Mel Brooks playing him. But with Starmer, because he is, he's only been in Parliament, less than a decade, very quickly elevated to the ranks. Obviously, there's nothing to point to. So it feels like there's a gap.
I take a different view from Nick, and I'm afraid to see Rachel, sorry. I get the tactical wisdom of keeping your cards close to your chest. I get the understanding about this, but I think people are tired of high school debating tricks from politicians, and I think they're tired of the idea that in a 5-year cycle of a parliament, you only get about 6 weeks in the run-up to an election where there are actually some new ideas that are being aired there. And I think good leadership actually involves building a consensus around new ideas, particularly if you want to do some bold, really big plan ideas like this.
Well, that's my concern about the notion of the Tories stealing the ideas. We shouldn't be thinking that, oh shit, we've only got a limited amount of good ideas. We've had a long dearth of ideas for 13 years. Hopefully we could have a lot of new ideas.
Yeah, and given that there is a sort of tribute acts to the Blair years being done at the moment, there were actually quite a few policy ideas in the mid-1990s that were aired, not to any great dissent or problem, actually, in the grand scheme of things. It helped. It helps party activists to warm to these proposals. It actually helps the civil service to prepare for this stuff, so that the day you come into office, they say, oh yes, we have a plan B we've been working on for the last 18 months because we knew that this was a distinct possibility. So I think it's actually a helpful thing if strategically you pick a few big ideas and actually do run with them, and they will end up being one of your big key themes.